We are in for something big. The offseason's coming closer every single day, and we have multiple writers, multiple reports linking the Habs to multiple different players. And that's right, some websites have us linked to Sidney Crosby, Dylan Larkin, some other very interesting names like Bo Horvat as those talks continue to escalate. We're going to get into all of those, and I want to hear from you in the chat and in the comment section about how much we want them, but it doesn't just end there. More draft updates as well to chat about, including players like Justin Carbonneau, Lynden Lakovic, and even some more. Plus, we got a nice little update on Jeff Gorton as we got the truth out about what happened with the Islanders situation. I think you guys will all like it. All that coming up on this live episode of Habs Digest. Welcome in. Welcome into another Monday live stream. Thank you all for being here. We got over 100. And look, we got a lot to talk about. I know you saw that thumbnail. You saw Crosby. I got the links down below. You want to get ahead of me? Check out the links down below where some websites are saying why not go after him, some proposed trade packages. We're going to get into all that, I promise. But just wanted to start off by saying thank you for being here. And also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Our goal is 21,000. Guys, we're less than 200 away. My gosh. What a great day. 24 degrees and sunny today. We're about to get into it. Let me know what the weather's like where you are. Thank you, all of you, for being in the chat. All of you coming in talking about the Sidney Crosby stuff like I prompted. Hello, Joel. Good evening. There is a lot to get into today. Unfortunately, no Jesse. He's feeling under the weather. So, for those of you that are fans of the show, leave some love for Jesse. Leave some get well soons for Jesse because, honestly, it's not the same doing this without him. But I digress. We got some stuff to get into today. And the first thing I want to start with is this. Not that. Nope, wrong picture. Wait, hold on. Where is it? Here it is. Let me adjust this chat. It's been a while since I've done a solo stream. Got to have the chat in the right spot. There we are. So, as we know, there's been a bit of interesting stuff going on with the New York Islanders lately. Yeah, we're going to get into Bo Horvat a little bit later, but their whole GM search and Lou being gone, but kind of still being around, don't really know what's happening. They've asked about a bunch of different GMs, a guy like Marc Bergevin, Ken Holland, so many others. But the big story in Habs land was, hey, they asked for Jeff Gorton. And so we got an update today, and the top link in the description from the Athletic, from the Islanders Athletic, that dives into exactly what happened. Now, they listed a lot of different things. I'm gonna be honest, if you want that stuff, do go check out Islanders Digest. Actually, Islanders Digest today just made a video on a Bo Horvat to Montreal trade. So please go check out Patrick at Islanders Digest. Serve your time well. That channel's starting to explode, but the Islanders ownership group has a keen interest in talking to Montreal Canadiens Vice President of Hockey Operations Jeff Gorton, but that won't be happening. Straight up, it won't be happening. As colleague Pierre Lapointe reported last week, Gorton and the Canadiens are happy with their situation. Had he been available, Gorton was likely the Islanders' top choice over Holland. Now, look, Ken Holland being their top choice regardless is wild. Like, to me, that's insane. If you've been watching the NHL and you know the Islanders situation and you know what Ken Holland typically likes to do with his team, I don't think he's actually that different from Lou in terms of strategy of building a roster, because Ken Holland likes to kind of go all in, kind of make these big trades to make the team competitive. Jeff Gorton, we know what his plan is, but he's sticking to Montreal. His role as EVP here alongside Kent Hughes as the GM. It's working incredibly well, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Like, does this change your mind at all about Jeff Gorton, Kent Hughes? Does it make you feel better? It would never make you feel worse, because I read this and my first thought is like, dang, everyone is noticing what Montreal is doing. Like, I mean, we kind of know that. Like, we hear talks from the players a lot saying, hey, what Montreal's doing with their culture is great. What they're doing with Marty St. Louis. When Samuel Montembeault was at the Four Nations, we heard a lot of rumors, a lot of players saying to him, wow, this atmosphere in Montreal is crazy. There's nothing like it in hockey. And now we're seeing it from the executive side too. I mean, we do see praise for Kent Hughes, Jeff Gorton stuff, but what better praise is there than literally having Jeff Gorton as your number one choice to take over the GM role from Lou Lamoriello in New York because you like what he's doing so much? Honestly, like, it tells me that, again, teams are taking notice of what Montreal is doing, and we have to be doing a lot of stuff right. You watched the video yesterday, you heard that Scotty Bowman stuff. Scotty Bowman saying it reminds him of the Sam Pollock era of Montreal Canadiens hockey. There's something special brewing right now in Montreal, and the Islanders tried to poach it away from us. Well, guess what? You're not getting it, New York. Sorry, Jeff Gorton is here and here to stay. We're seeing this team win. Jeff Gorton has said it. Ken Hughes has said it. These guys are like, we want to be here. We're sticking around for the long haul. We want to watch this team win a Stanley Cup, and I think it's going to happen. I know you guys think it's going to happen. Like, leave me your thoughts right now. Is this a good thing? What do you think about this from the Islanders? I mean, I think so for sure. I love that it's like you don't even get an interview you don't even get to talk to them. So good. But I'm going to have a couple of reads through the chat. Oh my goodness. It's been such a hot start to the stream. Over 200 people in here. Guys, 200 people. Get that like number up. I mean, you know, we like to hit 100, at least 100 in these streams. We got 200 people, 32 likes. You don't have to. You really don't, but it helps us out a lot. And hey, if you're enjoying the daily content, you might as well hit it because it does seriously help us with just one click of the button. I see a lot of well wishes for Jesse. Absolutely. Thank you guys all for saying that. Hello, Brent from Cape Breton. Mind you, one at a time, Gorton was the GM of the rival Rangers. Absolutely. Gorton wants to win with the Habs. I agree. A lot of chats are going to try to get to the ones I can. And channel members and donations do get priority. Other than that, I'll get to what I can. But I did want to say good evening, everyone, from Northwest River, Labrador, Michael Broomfield. Well, Michael, if you didn't know, I am from St. John's, Newfoundland, but a little far away from Labrador, that's for sure. But hello to you. Always good to see someone else from our beautiful province. But we got to move on because look, everyone clicked on this video, or the stream, I should say, or maybe you're watching this after. Maybe it is a video after, and you're tuning in to talk about these trade packages. And I'm going to get to that in just a minute. I know it's just a teaser. I know. But what I actually want to get into right now is we get Norm Stein. Shout out to Norm, by the way, for winning our t-shirt giveaway. That Lane Hudson shirt looks great on you, Norm. Thank you for being here once again. I want to talk about the draft. Now, if you guys have been paying much attention to the draft, you know the Habs have been linked to a lot of different players. We have been talking about a lot of different players in our videos. We have a lot more coming up over the coming weeks as we lead into the draft. So right now, though, we've talked about a couple guys on this channel over the past week or so, and I want to dive into those with you guys because in the live stream, I think we get a different perspective. So put on your scouting caps. Let me know what you think. I want to start with our boy, Justin Carbonneau. That's not him. Oh my goodness, my screenshots are all over the place. Here he is, Justin Carbonneau. So the thing with Justin Carbonneau, he's from right across the river of where I am right now, of Lévis, Quebec. I'm here in Quebec City, if you didn't know. But he's in Lévis, Quebec, 6'1", 191. He's only 18 years old, but those stats in the queue, boy, are they ever really good. Now, the thing with Justin Carbonneau is he's actually projected to be the second player out of the queue drafted this year. Of course, Caleb Desnoyers is having an unbelievable season. He's probably going to go top 10. I'd be pretty confident to say he's going to go top 10. But Justin Carbonneau is a bit of a wild card. Now, you see him mocked anywhere from like, you know, the high teens down to the low teens, even early 20s. But I'm seeing a lot of people link him to the Montreal Canadiens. And I believe Craig Button was one who did it. He's a name that was mentioned by Scott Wheeler in Scott's recent full first round mock draft. And I think it's a good fit, not just because he's Quebecois, but because of what he brings to the table. And you got to remember with Justin Carbonneau, the goal scoring prowess is absolutely there. 46 goals in 62 games. Plus, he plays with a bit of an edge. 61 penalty minutes, 3 goals in 5 playoff games with 12 penalty minutes. He's kind of a power forward who has that goal scoring touch. And I think, please tell me I have it. Yeah, here it is. So here's the scouting report for Justin Carbonneau. I'm going to put it up here so that we can see the chat here. Oh, look, we got more channel members in the chat. We got Joseph Donovan. Thank you for being here, Joseph. David Darcy, go Habs, go. Bonsoir, Dillon. Bonsoir, David Darcy. How you doing? Planko, ahoy after all a while. Planko, great to see you. David Darcy wants Horvat. We got a lot of great stuff coming, but I want to keep getting into Justin Carbonneau. Now, do you guys have any opinions on Justin Carbonneau? If you do, I'd like to see him in chat right now. But if you maybe don't know a whole lot about him, let me just read the scouting report. This is from Whitaker Hart at Dauber Prospects. Dauber Prospects is one of the best spots to get any kind of draft news. Not sponsored or anything. I just really like Dauber Prospects, so go check him out. But the Fantasy Submarine, high-octane forward with a dynamic skill and a lethal shot. Now, first off, that sounds pretty great. And when you look at those numbers, dynamic skill, lethal shot, high octane, that high effort, high energy with the size, boy, does that ever scream Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton and what we're looking for. Now, the thing is, he is a winger. He's not a center. But at this point in the draft, we're talking late first round. You got to pick the best player available. Centers are great, but, you know, you still need wingers as well. You know, that is what it is. So when we look into Justin Carbonneau here, like some of the observations, this is from January. Look, early this season, he was slotted in the early teens, but he stagnated a bit. Again, this is as of January. He started to climb kind of back up into that mid-first round, sometimes even as high as the early teens, depending on which draft you look at. But 6'1", he has some electrifying moments one-on-one. He has a very high offensive ceiling. And again, when you see 46 goals in 62 games, you can't help but say that. Now, I know some people will immediately make the point that I myself make a lot of the time, say, look, Justin Carbonneau plays in the queue, and the queue historically, at least as of late, it hasn't, like the players coming out of the queue haven't quite hit their ceiling as much as you'd want them to. That is not the case for everyone. I have just made that observation. Some other people have made that observation of like, the competition seems to have dwindled a little bit in the queue, so good production in the queue maybe doesn't necessarily mean what it once did. But the production's not the only thing here. Yeah, the goal scoring's insane, but just watching him play, you notice it as well. Like, he has unbelievable underlying metrics. He drives play in transition. He's one of the league's most lethal shooters and prolific goal scorers. He's gritty, determined to make an impact both ends of the ice, but his hockey IQ and top-end speed have raised concerns for his floor. At the NHL level, he projects as a middle six scoring winger. And so, I raise you this. If you're picking in the mid-first round, and again, this is assuming we don't trade these picks, because these picks could very well be traded for some of the players that we will be getting into in just a minute. But a middle six scoring winger, would you be happy with that in the mid-first round? Why for yes, N for no, or maybe give your reasoning. Why for yes, you'd be happy with this kind of profile, N for no, you'd want someone with a higher ceiling. Because when we're talking drafting right now, there's guys with low ceilings, high floors, and high ceilings, low floors. Those, you call those the boom or busts. Would you rather someone who's maybe more of a certain prospect or someone who could hit really good? Now, the thing with Carbonneau, again, the speed, historically, you've seen that be a bit of an issue. See, a couple people are already saying that this seems like a good profile. Top speed, like, again, when it comes to skating, that's one of those things that's like, you really gotta hope that they take a leap. Not everyone does. I know people point to a guy like Braden Point, who turned from a below average skater into one of the league's best. That is the exception, not the norm. So when you're talking Justin Carbonneau, he's a fine skater. It's just that top speed is not quite there. But again, if you're hitting hard and you have a lethal release, you might not necessarily need that top speed. I mean, look at a guy like Emil Heineman. He has pretty good top speed. He hits hard and he has a lethal release. But he has almost been, not relegated, but his role that he's found in the NHL so far as a young player has been that forechecking presence, that guy who can get some PP2 time, let go a nice shot every now and then, but he's really there for his forecheck and his speed, and he brings a nice element of physicality to that fourth line. And so when you think of a guy like Justin Carbonneau, you wonder, okay, could he be better than, for example, an Emil Heineman? And maybe the goal scoring touch is really incredible for Carbonneau right now, and in transition, he drives the play a lot. So he could be a similar player to that. He could end up being a nice middle six guy. But regardless, like, I think if he's available, he does fit the bill for what Montreal needs. I mean, we drafted a good amount of centers. Getting a big scoring winger is never a bad idea at all. So I personally am quite high on Justin Carbonneau. I think it does depend on some of the other players available at that spot, because there is one other guy that I'm going to talk about now in a minute. And I think a lot of people here are saying yes for Justin Carbonneau. So I actually will read this a little bit now while we're talking about this here. So let me go check this. We're in the rebuild. You can't be passing on 2 first-round picks this early on. I actually think that's a good point, Double Chief, but it does depend what we could get in a theoretical trade for those picks. And oh boy, am I ever excited. You guys are going to want to stick around for that. It's going to be a fun thing. I can't wait to discuss with this live chat. It's going to be amazing. We got cheeky plug David Darcy. Not even really a plug, but I mean, well, if it's Dauber prospects, I just like them. Again, not sponsored, not affiliated. I just like them. You can see them trade both in this draft. Yeah, that's the thing, right? If the draft was deep, I'd say pick some guys, but Laval's full. This draft drops up. Oh boy. Take a moment, Josh. Take a sip of water. Stop stumbling over your tongue. The draft drops off after 12 or 13. And I think that's actually a really good point, Neil. A lot of insiders are saying that this draft this year is not that deep. Like, it's really not historically deep. Now, at the same time, you really never know. Like, you don't know which guys are going to shoot up. Like, a draft that we deem today is really not deep could have 4 or 5 star players emerge from the second and third round. Like, you really don't know. But regardless, I think Montreal now, at this point, we're in such a good place developmentally that even a guy like Carbonneau could come in and make an impact right away. But I see, yes. Oh, cheeky plug for your band. I didn't even see it, David. Hold on, where is it? Sorry, there's so many chats. But yeah, regardless, shout out to David Darcy's band. That's a great thing. But yeah, doubtful Carbonneau gets past 11th. Nas thinks Justin Carbonneau is going to go even higher, and Jordan's saying, as long as they don't draft another D-man, I'm happy with any choice they make. So that's an interesting point there. So, okay, that raises another question then, because I actually didn't think we'd get to that. Let me raise a poll right now, because look, when we're talking about this draft, there's a lot of different things going on. Scott Wheeler, of course, does have Montreal taking a different player at number 16 that I'm going to talk about in a minute, but he does have them drafting a defenseman at 17. Now, we're saving that defenseman for a different video this week because he has a really nice profile on The Athletic. They did a great article on him. I think he fits the Habs absolutely perfectly. After reading his story and the kind of player and person he is, there's no doubt in my mind that if he's available, he would be the kind of guy that Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton would want to add to this core in terms of personality and work ethic. So I'll get into that at a different point. But right now, I want to add a poll. And welcome in Mark Orr, one of our loyal Rocket Richard tier members. Hello, all you awesome Habs fans. Keep the faith and go Habs, go, Mark. I wonder if you're wearing your hat and bolo tie today. It'd be nice if you were, but Mark is one of the snappiest dressed men I've ever seen in my life. So unbelievable stuff there. Would you be okay with drafting a D-man in the first round? And I just want to see your guys' response to this, because this is not really something I thought about asking, but I think it is a good point, because even when we drafted Reinbacher, the feeling was we really wanted Michkov. We have a lot of good defensemen in the system, and then we got Hudson. And of course, Hudson turned out to be amazing, but like now, especially with Cayden Guhle locked up at that $5.5 million per year deal, that is, mark my words, you guys know I'm a Guhle stan. He's my boy. Love Cayden Guhle to death. That's going to be one of the best contracts in the league, if it's not already. Like, honestly, he's going to outplay that within the first year, and people are going to be like, how is this not a $7 or $8 million defenseman? But Guhle's unbelievable. Matheson, we'll see what his future is. But of course, we have Lane Hudson. Of course, we have David Reinbacher coming up. Logan Mailloux, I still think his ceiling is a bottom four NHL level defenseman who can get some PP2 time if things work out his way. Not to mention some other great guys in Laval, someone like an Adam Engstrom, and even some guys on the team like Jaden Struble and Arber Xhekaj. There's so many different names. Would you be okay with drafting another defenseman? My reasoning, yeah, why not? If it's the best player available, and if it's a guy that you truly believe fits incredibly well with your system, your culture, your coaching staff, your management, I say why not? Because at the end of the day, drafting for fit, it can matter. But my personal opinion, and I think a lot of you probably agree, some of you maybe don't agree, and that's totally fine. I'd love to hear all your opinions here. My opinion is you draft the best player available and you make it fit later. Because if you draft the player that you think is going to be the best player in the NHL in the future of all the options available, if it's a defenseman, well, he might surpass a lot of your guys anyway. He won't get blocked in if he truly reaches his potential. There is something to be said about drafting for a position where they'll get really blocked with an organization. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And looking at Montreal, if they did draft another left-hand shot defenseman, the long-term outlook would be like, well, what the heck do we do with this guy? Because he's just going to be behind Hudson and Guhle for 6, 7, 8 years. I do get that. But again, if that player ends up really, really proving himself to be the best player out of that draft, he'll find some time on the team, whether it's playing on the right side, or at the very worst, you trade a guy who looks to be one of the best prospects in the world, right? And again, I go to these other examples. For example, in Tampa, Isaac Howard, the Hobey Baker winner, did not want to play with Tampa Bay. He seems like he's going to get blocked in. Tampa's going to get a haul for him. Would they have wanted him to play for them? Absolutely, but they're going to get a good amount for him in a trade regardless, or they'll make some room for him. There's a lot of things here, right? Like, you get the best player, you make room for them. There's Tom Willander with the Vancouver Canucks. He's probably going to play with them, but there's some controversy now. He's one of the best defensive prospects or D-man prospects in the league. So I'm curious to see what you guys say. I'm going to take a look here now at what you guys have said here. There's a lot of chats here. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, I got to get through a lot of this here, but yeah, so here we go. Let's take a look through some of these channel member chats here, talking about some snow. Hold on, who said that it was snowing? Luckily, it didn't snow here. It snowed here on the west coast of Newfoundland last night. Michael, I feel like you've said in the chat maybe where you're from before, but west coast of Newfoundland, where are you to? Stephenville, Corner Brook, snowed? It's definitely not in Corner Brook this time of year. Let me know where you are. But let's have a look here. Blanco said, do we need to remind you what you did after the Reinbacher pick? Blanco, you don't need to, because that was very much a meme. And if you did watch that stream, not 2 minutes after I did that, we were singing the praises of him. But you don't need to bring that back up. I don't even know if that stream's still on YouTube. It might not be. It might be. Look, I still love David Reinbacher, but thank you for never forgetting. Early days of the channel. I'm a more mature man now. Would never do that again, even as a joke. Joseph saying, we have enough D-men, LOL. I mean, that's true. Mark saying, LMAO, I guess I have to go full devil. Went down to the crossroads. Look, next call. What do we got next? Oh my gosh, a lot of stuff here. Jordan, if there's no other choice, then yeah, this will hopefully be their first time picking down this low in a while. Get assets anywhere. That's the thing. You get assets now, again, if you pick the best players available, even if they don't play with you, they'll be the best trade assets in the future. Because you could draft like a right-hand shot defenseman or a really good center. But like maybe they'll get blocked in. Maybe they won't. Doesn't matter. If it's a good asset, it's a good asset. You can move it for something. So I really like that. By the way, guys, again, if I'm skipping your chat, I'm sorry. I'm going to take a look at the channel members first and donations. Those are the two things. So if you do want to get your word in, that's the best way. Become a channel member or send in a super chat and I will get to you as soon as I can. But the thing is, we got so much to get into today because I thought this was a very interesting poll and I'm going to end it right now. And actually, it looks like I'm ending it at a very interesting time. Oh my goodness. 50-50. Dead on 50-50. 45 votes say, yes, you're fine with drafting a defenseman in the first round. 45 votes says, no, you're not. Oh, that's the kind of poll I love because these kind of topics here are so interesting to talk about because I know when it comes draft time, like this just shows the dichotomy of chat, right? So for every person that has one opinion and you're so convinced of it, there's going to be people who have the other opinion, right? My opinion was I'm okay with it if it's the best player available, but half of you say no, even if it is, I don't want it. And I love that. I love this chatting amongst each other, trying to figure this stuff out. This is really, really interesting. As Mark says here, we do not know yet what management's plans are. If they have their sights on a 2C through trade or RFA, then you take the best player, whatever the position. They are capital for more moves down the road. Could not agree more, Mark. And again, even if we're talking like maybe we want to trade a certain player, like say we want to trade a pick for a player, like you said, Mark, what if that trade doesn't actually get done before the draft? Let's say Kent Hughes doesn't pull off another draft night move like he did with Kirby Dach. Let's say the negotiations are there, but just couldn't get across the finish line. And now you have to make this trade on July 2nd, July 3rd, whatever it may be. Well, I guess whenever. Maybe it'd have to be before. But let's say it's for someone in the offseason like a Horvat, right? Let's say it is in the middle of July. You're going to want to offer the Islanders the players that you picked. And so if you want to use those first round picks in a trade later and you couldn't get it across the finish line by draft night, you're going to want those assets you picked to be not only just good fits for your team, but good fits for someone else. So they're probably thinking, I know Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton are thinking of all of this right now. So it's very, very interesting. A thought experiment at the very least. As David says, can we trade for Rantanen? Please, please, please. Look, I'm saying, we were saying trade for Rantanen. I think a lot of you were saying maybe at that time, a lot of you were saying yes, but there were a handful that were saying no. And look, when it was a real possibility, I would have loved it. I mean, we know the Slaf graph that we've shown last year of his progression versus Rantanen. Slaf could turn into Rantanen, but holy smokes is Rantanen ever putting on a dominant show right now. What is it, 17 points in his last 6 games? I don't know, is it that? I think so, something like that, crazy. Let me take a sip. Running these solo, excuse me, it's a lot harder on the old voice box, as I'm sure you guys understand. Yeah, that's why we miss Jesse. But yeah, so there's a lot of very interesting stuff to get to on that draft. But I want to get into the other guy. Now, this is a guy we talked about in yesterday's video. And for those of you loyal viewers, all of you, right? All of you are loyal viewers that watched yesterday's video, of course. But this is on the monster winger that was linked to the Montreal Canadiens. And his name is Lynden Lakovic. And Lynden Lakovic is a very, very interesting prospect. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the highlights to play you again. They are in yesterday's video, and I recommend you go watch it. This guy is, again, not even for lack of a better term, he just is a monster. Lynden Lakovic, I love his game. 6'4", 190 pounds, 18 and a half years old for the Moose Jaw Warriors, 27 goals, 58 points in 47 games. The impressive thing, he led his team in scoring by a lot, and he played 21 fewer games than second and third place on his team. This dude dominated his pretty bad team in scoring. He was a minus 25. Moose Jaw wasn't that great a team this year. They did win last year. I mean, it wasn't a horrible team, but they weren't great. But they won it all last year, and Lakovic was a huge part of that team. Of course, 5 goals, 8 points in the playoffs. But his 58 points, 27 goals in 47 games this year was beyond impressive because when you think about it, you look at the NHL draft. How many times have you seen a team pick a player just because they're big? That's the only reason. I mean, you just need to look back to last year and Dean Letourneau, the 6'7" player who has 0 offensive production. Like 0. Boston picked him. He has no offense. It's just he hasn't clicked at all this year. He's getting no scoring. Could he maybe make the NHL just based off size? Some guys, there's some guys maybe, but like a guy like Letourneau probably isn't. And you see a lot of teams draft for size because it's harder to come by that. Now, again, kids are getting bigger and bigger every single year, it feels like. But with Lynden Lakovic, The interesting thing about him that I want to bring up, he's an intriguing player due to his combination of skating, size, playmaking, and raw skill. But he's not a power forward. And that's so weird. It's counterintuitive, right? When you're looking at a guy who's 6'4", 190 with 27 goals, he's dominating the WHL, you'd think he'd be physically imposing. That's the thing that makes me even more excited about his potential next steps in the NHL, because he doesn't know how to use his body properly yet. Again, when you're young, it takes different people a different amount of time to learn how to fully use their body. Now, Slafkovsky had a similar problem. He projected as a power forward, and I would say he showed more aspects of being a power forward at Lynden's age than Lynden Lakovic does. But when we watched Slaf first hit the NHL ice, I mean, you guys saw it just as much as I did, as much as this channel did. Juraj Slafkovsky at times looks like a deer in the headlights, and also he had like Bambi legs. Like, the dude would fall over at the slightest touch. He didn't know how to use his size properly, use his strength properly. But as the years have gone on, and it was at a peak, I would say, during parts of this season, but mostly the playoffs, Juraj Slafkovsky was able to absolutely physically dominate pretty much anyone that came up to him. He would win every single board battle, it felt like. He would use his positioning and size to make you feel small, to make you feel stupid for going into a corner battle against him. And that's what he learned to do over the course of years. And again, a lot of that comes from playing in the NHL from the time he was like 18 years old. So he was getting that exposure right away to this physical play. And I think that helped him a lot, as much as it looked tough at the start. But a guy like Lakovic, his offense is actually not even really like Slafkovsky. Lakovic drives the offense through transition. And when you watch him play, he'll pick, like quite frequently, pick the puck up in his own defensive end and just rush up the wing, dangle through defenders, and create an opportunity. At 6'4", 190, this guy is fast, he's an amazing skater, and he still doesn't really know how to use his body. Now, the thing with him is he's a great playmaker, fantastic puck carrier, great at rush offense, but that is a big if he can get his physical attributes down, because at the end of the day, skill only carries you so far. Now, you can bring a lot of value if you are just a good puck carrier, you're a good playmaker, and you can skate. Yeah, you can carve out a niche for yourself in the AHL or NHL. But to truly be a consistent NHL player, you need a lot of different aspects of your game. And when you're 6'4", teams are going to want you to do that. And I genuinely think that he has the potential to do something special in the NHL. And now I'm going to head back and look through the chat here, because I'm very interested to see what you guys are saying about this now. Oh my gosh, I think there's a lot of chats in here. I don't know how many people are talking about Lakovic, but 6'04", not 6'4". 6 feet 4 inches tall. 193 centimeters, 86 kilos, for those of you who prefer the metric system. Oh, look, Canucks Digest. Hey, Mark. Habs should trade their first-round pick for Tyler Myers. Hey, guys, what do you think about this? I'm going to put this on screen so you can see it here. Hold on. What do you guys think about this? Guys want to leave your thoughts on this? You guys want to say thanks, Canucks Digest? What are you doing? No, that's a really good offer, actually. First-round pick for Tyler Myers. Totally. Absolutely. Thanks for that wonderful chat, Canucks Digest. I'm glad I caught that, actually. So what do we got here? Could be another McCarron, says Gary Bisson. We got a lot of people talking in chat here. This is very interesting. Okay, wait, what is going on here? Okay, one sec. We're gonna take a little pause, and I'm gonna take a look through this, and we're just gonna chat. I'm just gonna take a look through the chat. Joseph, are you here still? Because I just got to make sure that nothing crazy is going on right now. Won't be able to play with, so, look, Joey, and for all you talking about that right now, give it up now, or I'm gonna have to mute you, because I don't want to get into political talks in this chat. It is what it is. We're not doing politics here. This is a hockey show right now. I understand there's some conflicts, but, just watch out. So, just a little warning. Joseph, if you're here as well, Joseph Donovan, feel free to use your discretion here. But, look, we're here to chat hockey. We're here to chat Lynden Lakovic. We're here to chat about a lot of different people. So let me just bring this up here. Let me bring a poll. Who do you prefer? Who do you prefer between Lynden Lakovic and Justin Carbonneau? Because I think they're very interesting options. Who do you prefer? They're both wingers. Carbonneau with that higher end goal scoring ability, but the lower end top tier skating, where Lakovic is the bigger player, but he doesn't really know how to use his size properly yet. So I'm going to put Carbonneau, and I'm going to put Lakovic. And I want to see what you guys have to say. And leave your votes, because personally, I'm actually a little higher at Lakovic. The problem is, again, it's that, high floor ceiling kind of thing. Because with Lakovic, like, I feel like there's a lot less certainty that he will carve out a role in the NHL. But I feel like if he figures it out, he could genuinely be like a really good middle six player, like really good middle six. I'm not talking top line. I'm not setting my expectations to the moon here. Like, I think if Lakovic learns how to be physical and keeps that transition game, I genuinely think that there's nothing stopping him from being like, you know, a 40, 50 point, 15, 20 goal winger in the middle six. And that's every team needs someone like that, especially if you're big. And a lot of you guys are saying Justin Carbonneau, and it's not really close. So, hey, I don't mind that. You know what? Alpha male, pretty good point. Another big guy that plays small. That's why I said it's a big if. So it's hard to say. I think Carbonneau's maybe more of a sure thing, but I think Lakovic has the higher ceiling. So I'd love to see your guys' thoughts there. Leave your votes. So this is going to be very, very interesting. But guys, it's time. We got 400 people in here. We're one like away from 100 likes. Do you want to be the 100 like on this stream? Too late. I already got there. You can be the 101st, but that's not as cool, is it? It's still cool if you leave a like. I mean, it helps me out. It helps this channel out. I would love to see it, but you know, hey. Yeah, you didn't quite get there. Thank you so much for the 100 likes. With the 400 people in here, guys, it's time to get into this free agency and trade stuff. Now, there's a lot of names I want to get to, and there's a lot of articles. If you look at the description of this stream or this video, if you're watching it after, there's a lot of articles talking about why Montreal should go for different players and what kind of trade offers are out there. So I'm ready to check this out. Do I want to start with Crosby? Do I want to tease you guys with Crosby? No, we're not. I teased it, but we're not going to talk about Crosby first. No, not Bo. Yeah, so we're going to start with Bo Horvat. And Bo Horvat is very interesting. Again, shout out to Patrick over at Islanders Digest. Guys, please go check out Islanders Digest if you want to see an Islanders fan take on the whole Bo Horvat to Montreal situation, because their takes over there as Islanders fans are very different from ours in Montreal. And I think they're like, not even just a few weeks ago, before Lou Lamoriello was gone, Patrick at Islanders Digest was telling me, like, listen, I don't think Horvat's going to go unless you give us like a really, really, really good prospect. But after the Islanders landed the first overall pick, after the Islanders are in their GM search, the whole future of the franchise is kind of in question. Well, not future of the franchise, you know what I mean, in terms of their direction. They're more inclined to trade him. So regardless, this comes from Vincent Duquette from TVA. He says, Horvat would be the ideal center to lead the second line. He's capable of scoring 30 goals per season. He's responsible in all three zones. He also shoots from the left, another significant advantage for a team that already features several right shot centers. And I want to point out that a lot of you guys in the chat have made that very same point about Horvat being a lefty and how we still need a lefty faceoff taker, because we have pretty much all righties. Suzuki is a righty. Jake Evans is a righty. Christian Dvorak, see ya out the door. Kirby Dach is a righty, but he's not great on the dot. Newhook is a lefty, but he's also not great on the dot. So we don't really have a go-to left-handed player that can take faceoffs. Bo Horvat would absolutely, no, where's the picture? There it is. Bo Horvat would absolutely fit that bill. Now again, 28 goals in 81 games this season, but I consistently go back to the season he had playing alongside JT Miller in Vancouver, where he was on pace for into the 40s. It was like 40-something goal pace before he got traded to the Islanders and signed that long-term extension. Listen, Bo Horvat is a guy that I think I would really like. The big problem with Horvat is that how many times have we heard Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton speak specifically about not wanting to go into free agency and throw a long-term contract at a bag at an aging veteran, right? That's something they said they didn't want to do. They don't want to have... Kent Hughes has specifically said this. Let me put it in this one so we can see the chat as well. Kent Hughes has specifically said that you don't want to just sign a guy for 8 years, because according to his plan, his and Jeff Gorton's goals with this franchise, 8 years from now, Montreal is still in their contention window. And we have to think of things in that way, because Nick Suzuki, 25, 26 years old, he'll be in his early 30s, coming out of his prime, right? 8 years from now. Cole Caufield, again, similar kind of thing, be starting to come out of his prime. Juraj Slafkovsky, dead in the heart of his prime. Ivan Demidov, dead in the heart of his prime. Cayden, Guhle, dead in the heart of his prime. Lane Hudson, dead in the heart of his prime. Did I already say Lane Hudson? If I did, I'll say it again. And David Reinbacher, dead in the heart of his prime. Michael Hage, if he sticks around the organization, which I hope he does, he'll be right in the middle of his prime. 8 years from now, our best young players will be in their prime, while our guys like Suzuki and Caufield will be slowing down. Now, again, this team will probably look a lot different by then, but that's why Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton don't want to just go out and go willy-nilly spending money left and right. And when you look at Bo Horvat, you start to wonder, does he fit this description? Does he fit this description of being a contract that is just not going to age as well as you want down the road? My counterpoint is that this dude was the captain of the Vancouver Canucks. This dude has incredible leadership. He is consistently in the top 5 or 10 of the NHL in faceoff percentage. This guy has like almost 60% on the faceoffs in some of his seasons. He is an unbelievable faceoff taker. He is solid 2 ways down the ice. He is a consistent guy who will score you roughly 30 goals. He can eat 20 minutes a night, no problem, at the age of 30. And again, ideally, as he starts to age, get 33, 34, 35 at the end of this contract, you still have Nick Suzuki who can step up and eat those minutes more. And ideally, we can have some other guys fill in behind. Will that contract look kind of rough at the end? Yeah, probably. But Bo Horvat, I think in terms of purely play style, in terms of face-offs, in terms of leadership, in terms of culture, he is an incredible fit. So let me see your thoughts there, as we do have a super chat. Shout out to you, Ethan. Welcome in, Ethan. Guys, leave some love for Ethan. Ethan is consistently one of our top supporters. Honestly, Ethan, thank you so much for being here every single day. Leave some likes on this message, guys. Come on. You guys can do that. $2 just saying, hey, everyone. Well, hi, Ethan. Hello, everyone in here. We have so many people in here, 417. And look, we're just getting started. You guys tuned in at the right time. We're just starting the free agency. Look, if you're just coming in now, you missed a whole lot of great stuff about the Islanders and Jeff Gorton, about the draft, some draft picks, some incredible discussions that we just had. So feel free to rewind, go check that out, or watch this again later. But you tuned in right at the right time if you're coming in now, because we're getting into the juicy stuff. We haven't even gotten to the guys in that thumbnail yet. And oh, I know that's going to be fun. But yeah, I want to take a look through the chat here right now, because I know a lot of you probably have some pretty big opinions. I really want Horvat, says David Darcy. I mean, look at that Arber Xhekaj for Matt Rempe and Bo Horvat. Those are different teams. And I think he's friends with Josh Anderson, and they played on the London Knights. Heard Horvat did mention Suzuki's a highly underrated for what he does. He did say that. He said that earlier this season. You have a great memory, WL. That is very true. And so, again, there's ties here to the Montreal Canadiens, which is absolutely amazing. Horvat, let's go. Horvat has a big contract, not ideal. Good two-way center. We see Tage Thompson. There's a lot of different things here. Someone's saying, hey, Jesse, feel better soon, Kevin. Well, I'm Josh, but also feel better soon, Jesse, because Jesse isn't here, if you guys have definitely noticed. It's hard to do this solo, you know, when you get so used to doing it with another person. To keep this intensity up, you gotta fuel, you gotta hydrate. For all you watching right now, drink some water. Just take a sip of water. It's important to do that throughout your day. Stay hydrated. Don't get those kidney stones. Not very good. I want to go through Mark Orr saying, just because his contract is, I gotta scroll up like this now. Just because his contract is 8 years, it doesn't mean he stays in Montreal for all 8 years. In the meantime, he gives leadership and mentorship to our young guns. And you know what? That is another really good point, Mark, because when we're talking about, again, a guy at the end of his contract potentially not playing up to that level, we don't know when he's going to fall off. Again, the locker room presence to me is worth like $1 million, $2 million a year anyway. But again, like, here's the thing. If Bo Horvat can stay a 55% face-off guy, 55 to 60% face-off guy, and he's getting us 40 points a season, yeah, you don't love that from an $8 million guy. But again, with the cap going up, it's going to look a lot less bad. It's going to age more like a Josh Anderson contract right now while he's reinvented himself, and you can always trade him. Especially you get into that last year, you half retain the last year of his contract, boom, you send one of the best face-off guys in the league off to a contender, and Bo Horvat honestly has the style of game that I think will age very well anyway, so very, very interesting. Ethan saying, if you've seen what I've been saying in the group chat, I said I would like a package deal for Trocheck and Lafreniere. Ethan, I did see that. I know some other people have been talking about Trocheck. I don't have those prepped for the video today, but you know what? Might just be talking about that soon. Now, my only problem, I got no problem with Trocheck. I think Trocheck could be good. I think he does fit. My big problem would be Lafreniere. Just based on this, just to pivot from one New York team to the other for a second because of your message, Ethan. My problem with Alexis Lafreniere is that I feel like he's one of those guys that the Rangers are going to ask for a lot more for him than any other team is willing to pay for the risk of taking him on, because he's a good player. Like, the thing with Alexis Lafreniere is, objectively, he's a solid hockey player. Like he's a very good middle six player at this point, and has shown flashes of being a solid top line player for moments. And of course, drafted as this exceptional number 1 overall pick. My problem is he's on that $7.4 million deal for many years. And the Rangers are going to try to sell it to you like, yeah, but if he really clicks with the right line mates, he'll be like a 70, 80 point guy. The problem is he has more evidence of being a 50-point guy than he does that 70-point guy. So my problem is that I don't Look, if the trade offer's right, why not? But my problem is that I think the Rangers would ask for more from the Habs than Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton would be willing to take on. And another risk in a guy like Lafreniere doesn't necessarily fit the bill for what they're going for moving forward. But it's very interesting because who am I to say no if the trade package is right? So it could be very, very interesting. And it's a great point there. Double Chief saying Horvat is a 50-point guy. So for more money. Look, I mean, that's a good point as well. But also, Bo Horvat has a career of scoring 30 goals every year, is a very good faceoff guy, is a great leader objectively, can eat a lot of minutes, solid two-way play, and has shown capability of scoring a bit more. That's kind of what the thing is with Horvat. But I do get your point. Like, his point totals definitely don't jump off the screen at you, but I think his goal scoring, again, and it's not like we're shoving Bo Horvat into a 1C role, right? I'm saying Lafreniere has had ample opportunity, and that's what he's putting up, while Bo Horvat has been, like if you bring him to Montreal, he'd kind of be that 2C, right? And so with that 2C with a solid two-way game, good face-offs, I think he fits better, but I do get the point. It's a lot of money, and Lafreniere's a lot younger, fits the team a bit better, but I have more question marks about him anyway. But look, I see a lot of people talking about Sam Bennett, and to be honest, I wasn't even really thinking about talking about Sam Bennett today, but a lot of you guys seem to be in on that. Why don't we talk about Sam Bennett briefly? Look, let me grab a screenshot of his stats. Because why wouldn't I? Look, I know a lot of you are probably saying let's pick Sam Bennett because he is, well, at the very least, I'll say he's kind of annoying Leafs fans at this very moment. So let's grab Sam Bennett here and bear with me while I bring his stats up on the screen. So we'll pop into here and there it is. And you know what? We'll go into this view and we'll pop this back up and we'll drag in Sam Bennett's stats. So why not have a look at Sam Bennett's stats here? We'll put him over Bo Horvat. This is not the nicest way to do it, but look, when you don't plan to talk about someone, you gotta pull out all the stops just for you guys. I'm doing this just for you. I mean, I wouldn't do it for anyone else. I don't know who else I'd be showing hockey stats to, but you should feel special. So looking at Sam Bennett here, I have a question. What about him jumps out to you guys? Because when I look at Sam Bennett, I worry. But okay, here's the thing. Sam Bennett is very physical. He is a borderline, some people wouldn't even say borderline, dirty player. Sam Bennett is the kind of guy that you love to have on your team and you absolutely despise playing against because he will go out, injure your guy, hit your goalie in the head, say it's an accident. Not something that Montreal necessarily has part of their culture, though we do have Arber Xhekaj, though I would say Bennett is a little more sleazy with this stuff, but he's an incredibly effective player. And look no further than his playoff numbers. A Sam Bennett that has a career high of 51 points this year is on a much higher point per game pace in the playoffs. 64 points in 93 playoff games. That's 2 points every 3 games there. That's really, really, really good. 8 points in 9 games this year so far. 5 goals, 7 assists for 14 points in 19 games. 15 points in 20 games. 8 points in 10 games. Bennett shows up when it matters most because his style of play really is conducive to playoff success. Former 4th overall pick, has just been amazing the whole year. Not to mention, the thing with Sam Bennett is he's a Selke finalist. Like, this guy, very effective defensively. Even when he's not being his super, super physical self, he makes fantastic defensive plays. And I think that could be very important for a Montreal team that is losing one Christian Dvorak who, depending on who you talk to, you might not even think that Dvorak's actually that good of a defensive player, but he was put in a big defensive role for Montreal, especially those key faceoffs. And Bennett's not the best at draws. That's kind of one of his downsides, but still, Bennett is one of these guys that can anchor your penalty kill. He's a guy that will go out and get you 40 to 50 points with about 20 goals, 20 to 25 goals in a given season, and he'll be effective in the playoffs. My big concern is tossing out an 8-year contract to him, especially when a lot of other teams are going to be looking for him. Now, I've heard his name thrown around to Minnesota and basically any other team in the league. Like, I feel like Sam Bennett is absolutely everywhere. So, like, if I look through the chat, I tend to agree with Ethan here. The big issue for me is how much money he's going to want. How much are you willing to pay Sam Bennett? By the way, I'm going to end that poll on Carbonneau now because I think we know who you guys voted for. How much are you willing to pay for Sam Bennett? By the way, thank you for 150 likes. This stream is rolling. Oh my gosh, the support's been unbelievable today. Thank you so much. And a Jesse-less stream. This is crazy. But so how much are you willing? Give me a range. Like, because we're assuming he's going to get 8 years somewhere, right? That's the whole thing with his free agency. He'll get 7 years, or is 7 the max you can give to someone? Either way, 7 or 8 years, whatever it is going to go to Sam Bennett. And how much is the AAV? Are you talking $7 million a year? With the cap going up, Sam Bennett's probably going to want a little bit more. maybe you get him at a 5 or 6 year deal. Maybe he doesn't want that, right? Maybe he wants to go longer at 7 years, $7.5 million per. We're talking like into the 50s, 50 something $million over his full contracts, right? So again, how much money is a big concern for me. As if I go back up here to Mark Orr, I like Bennett. He's a hard-nosed player. But what impresses me most is the clutch goals he seems to have a knock for in big games. And the physicality is a big thing too, and great point mark. And we can't forget, Bennett had some pretty clutch plays at the Four Nations. Like, this guy is a clutch player who is extremely good defensively. You don't get named as a Selke finalist for nothing. Like, he's a very good defensive player, and he can still score you 20 to 25 goals. My question is, again, that physical play style, how is he going to age? Like, is he going to age very well? Is he still going to be effective into his mid-late 30s by the tail end of this contract? As I see some people saying here, Alpha Male saying $6 million a year, and then we see WL saying $7 to $8 million, and then Ethan saying 6.4, and then 8 years, $60 million for Steven Davidovich, not sure how to pronounce that. Hope I did that right. 5.5 to 6, but would not want him, says Gorir Imha. I think I'm saying that right. These names are tough to pronounce. But look, so just take a moment and read through this chat. This is what I'm talking about, right? We got as low as 5.5 and as high as 8 million per year. That's the problem here, because the value of Sam Bennett, I think, is so dependent on, the eye of the beholder in this case, and how much value he can give to a specific situation. So if he fits the Habs culture, according to Kent Hughes, Jeff Gorton, all this stuff, again, I think objectively, like, he'd be a solid 2C. He's not going to blow the roof off with his scoring, which arguably that's something Montreal kind of needs, but still 20 to 25 goals and like 40 to 50 points as a 2C is like just like about average, a little bit below average. I feel like we hold this 2C standard up to like a 70, 80 point guy to be behind Nick Suzuki, which maybe not realistic. But look, if you ask Jesse, and honestly ask me too, you want that kind of guy as your 2C because Montreal has the assets to go get them. I feel like Sam Bennett's fine. He's fine. He's absolutely fine. There's nothing against Sam Bennett. But I just think there's going to be better places to use our money, whether that's for trading for someone who already makes that much money, and you can bring them in a trade, trading our picks. I know signing a free agent is free. You don't have to give up any assets for him. But at the end of the day, I still don't think that necessarily makes it a better choice. So that's my thought, but I'd love to see more of your thoughts there. Sly Rider, longtime channel member, saying Bennett will probably take a salary reduction to stay in Florida. Yeah, you think so, but you oops, sorry, I didn't mean to click that. You think so, but you really never know. Like, you really don't know. People will say they'll take team-friendly deals all the time, and they don't always do it. We're fortunate that Jake Evans did for Montreal when we all thought he was gone. We thought he was gone. He came back. Everyone thinks Bennett's going back. Maybe he's gone. All depends on the situation. Maybe he wants to go to another team, especially let's say Florida wins another cup this year. Yeah, Bennett, I want to go home to Ontario. Nah, I don't know. He probably won't go to the Leafs. Like, I don't even know how that would make sense, but that'd be hilarious. But still, yeah, crazy. Ask Ovi if he can still play hard physically. Ovi and Demidov for Ovi's farewell tour. I don't think Alexander Ovechkin would want to do that. That would be insane. Can you imagine? I know you're joking, though. I know you're joking. That's kind of funny. Davidovich, you pronounce my name perfectly. It's a Slovak origin. Shout out to all the Slovakians in the chat. Ahoy to everyone. I remember, if you've been a long-time fan, you remember when we used to intro the videos with Ahoy. Just a pander to all you Slovak fans. Pandering is one way to put it, but I genuinely enjoy having so many of you here with Juraj Slafkovsky news. Hey, that's what helped launch this channel in the first place. Thank you so much. Ethan saying, if you had an option, if you got the option, would you rather have Sam Bennett for $6 million or Marner for $13 million? Ooh. Oh, Ethan, that's a fantastic question. Oh, and I'm going to put that up to a poll. Sam Bennett, okay, let me ask you this. Which would you rather? What did you say? 6 mil? Is it? Yeah, 6 mil. Bennett, 6 mil, or Marner, 13 mil. Ooh, let me see what you guys say to that. I'm curious. I'm not a Mitchell Marner fan. Used to be. I used to like watching Mitch Marner play hockey. The more I actually pay attention to Leafs playoff hockey, the less I like watching Mitch Marner play hockey. It's as simple as that. It's just as simple as that. I don't particularly want him. I think Bennett at 6 mil is honestly a steal. I think that's less than what he'll go for. Bennett for 6 is my vote. I don't want 13 million tied up into Mitch Marner. Look, Marner's a 90, 100 point guy. He's going to get you 90 or 100 points every year. He's going to have flashes in the playoffs, but a lot of the time he's going to have even Leafs fans hating his guts. I mean, you look at Leafs chats, you look over at Leafs Digest, like, Marner has his moments, but a lot of the time it's like, I don't want him on the team anymore. And when that kind of vibe comes from the player, I don't want to touch him. So it's an interesting question, and most of you agree. Bennett for $6 million. I'll let that run though. I like that question, Ethan. It inspires a lot of chatting. Oh, talking about Mitch Marner. Hey, the Leafs are getting, it's a bit tough for the Leafs right now. What else we got here? I was comparing Ovi still playing hard. You saying Bennett may not be able to keep being physical. Guys who play hard. I see. That's a good point, Mark, actually. Those guys who bring that energy, as long as your body doesn't break down, but even in kind of Galley's case, your body kind of does break down and you still find a way to bring the energy and bring the impact every shift. That's actually a really good point. And I feel like Bennett wouldn't be the kind of guy that would just take his foot off the gas. I think he'd keep going. But anyway, we're a long time into this stream. I got a hard stop at 7:30. I didn't think we'd be going this long, but guys, I'm having so much fun. Are you having fun? If you're having fun and you haven't, everyone right now in the chat, check down below to see if you've hit subscribe, because still over half of you haven't done it, and we are less than 200 subscribers away from 21,000. Just double check for me. If you're enjoying this, you might as well hit the button, because we have content coming literally every single day, all off season long. I'm going to be moving across the country, and you know what? We're not missing daily videos. I'll tell you that, I hope. But time to get to the good stuff. So I want to start, we're going to start with Sidney Crosby, because I want to get to Larkin last. And I put a question before this stream started. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want Sidney Crosby? And I want you guys to answer that again right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want Sidney Crosby? Not how much you believe he's coming here. Because to be honest, I think most of us would give anywhere from a 1 to a 3. I don't think Sidney Crosby's coming here. But the possibility seems to be getting greater every single day. And there's a reason that so many people want Sidney Crosby. Oh boy. Look at those numbers in the chats. Look at this. 2, 6, 7, 8, 10, 10. You know what the first two answers were when I asked that almost an hour ago? 1 and 2, I think, were the first two people. Let's take a look. So, dans les coulisses, linked down below, they talked a bit about this whole Sidney Crosby thing. And do I have any screenshots of that? Just to check if I did. No, I don't. And this was the trade offer they put out. Again, I'm not going to dive too deep into the Sidney Crosby thing, but objectively, he is talked about in terms of linking to the Montreal Canadiens more than I think any other player, other than Bo Horvat. I feel like Horvat's the one guy who's always there. Crosby's the other guy. He is always, always, always mentioned in the same breath as the Montreal Canadiens, mostly by Habs fans, but it's happening everywhere. And this is the offer that Dans les coulisses propose for Sidney Crosby. Kirby, Dach, Alex Newhook, Logan Mailloux, 2025 first, 2025 second. And on the surface, makes sense, right? The value's there in terms of a guy like Sidney Crosby. 2-year extension, $8.7 million per. You get him for 2 years. He's going to retire soon. I'm of two minds about this. And it's why I have to ask you guys this question. I think Sidney Crosby is if you could handpick one player to play center next to Nick Suzuki in that top 6, like he'd be the other center opposite him in that top 6, I don't think I could pick a single player that would fit better than Sidney Crosby. One of my favorite players ever, very much grown on me. If you asked me that 10 years ago, no shot, Crosby would have been in one of my list of favorite players ever. Did not love him when I was growing up watching him. I've very much come to appreciate and love his game as time has gone on. And I think that's what a lot of people have been saying. 91 points at the age of 37 years old, nearly 38. He is so unbelievably good. He would fit so well with our culture. He grew up a Habs fan. Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. He loved the Habs. There's pictures of him in a Habs jersey. My problem is that if you're looking for the long term, this isn't the move. And here's the thing. If I said to you, tomorrow morning, you wake up, you get a notification from Elliot Friedman on your phone, and the notification says, not tomorrow morning, you know what I mean. Let's say it's July 1st, whatever. You get a notification, ring, ring, ring. No, it's June 28th. It's the day of the draft. You look at your phone. It's a Twitter notification. It's Elliot Friedman. Wake up. It's Elliot Friedman. The tweet reads, Montreal Canadiens. And he uses MON for the abbreviation for reasons unknown, because I don't know why he does that. I guess it makes sense, but it's MTL. I mean, everyone knows it's MTL. Why would you do MON? Like, I get it. Like, that's the first 3 letters. But that's like him doing VCR for Vancouver and win for Winnipeg. Like, who are you fooling, Elliot? What are you doing? I mean, at least he stopped with the ridiculousness, like of the OAA for Ottawa, the crazy stuff for Las Vegas. You look at your phone. Montreal has traded Kirby, Dach, Alex Newhook, Logan Mailloux, 2025 first, 16th overall, and their second round pick for Sidney Crosby. How do you react? My reaction, I think, let me put the mic back down. Sydney, Ethan, can you time Sydney out, please? Sydney, I'm sorry, it's a good question. No spamming. Thank you. Appreciate that, Ethan. So cool having a chat mod like that. Appreciate you, Ethan. But yeah, get rid of that. Absolutely no need for that. I wake up, I look at that tweet, I say, holy crap, Sidney Crosby is a Hab. And I look at the what we gave up later. Objectively, if you look at the long-term vision, this doesn't make the Habs better 4 years from now. It just doesn't, right? You get I think we'll have to move on from at least probably two or three of the people that you see in this tweet. Now, I don't just mean two or three of Dach, Newhook, Mailloux. I mean, of these 5 assets, Dach, Newhook, Mailloux, first and second, I would be shocked if in 3 to 4 years, more than 2 or 3 of them are still playing for Montreal. Or playing for Montreal at all, especially in terms of draft picks. So, it doesn't make Montreal a better team in a few years, because Crosby will be gone, probably after 2 or 3. But looking at Sidney Crosby, it's so crazy. It's so crazy, right? It just makes so much sense. So I just need to see your guys' thoughts. There's so many thoughts. I mean, we got 4 holy messages, jumpins. This is crazy. Don't mind losing Mailloux and Dach, but I feel Newhook has more to offer. And Jordan agrees. I agree as well. I think Alex Newhook actually really showed up this playoffs in showing that, he is so capable of driving an offense. He just can't finish. But that's a skill you can learn. And I think you can absolutely learn it. And anyway, I think it's very, very interesting. So, yeah, I don't know. I like Sidney Crosby. He's talked about a lot. That's why we're talking about him still. I don't think he'll be a Montreal Canadien. But if that's what it takes to get him, I'm of two minds about it. If this happened, I would be very happy that Crosby is a Hab. And I think in 3 to 4 years from now, I'd be saying, unless we win a cup with Sidney Crosby, in 3 to 4 years, I'd be saying, yeah, maybe that trade wasn't the best idea. But I had a great time. So that's my deal on Sidney Crosby. And I think a lot of you guys are probably in the same boat as Mark. Look, you put it right. Crosby equals too much short-term game while we still aren't in our window. I could not agree more. I really could not agree more. And I love the idea. I just don't think it makes too much sense. I know Jesse quite likes the idea of Crosby. I don't know if he'd like that offer. But look, it's hard to say no to Sidney Crosby. So there is one other player, though, that I want to mention before we end things off. Are you guys ready for this? There's a certain player out of Detroit. This is a name that I never would have thought would ever be a Montreal Canadien. A name that I would have thought would have been a Detroit Red Wing for life. But there are some questions. Alpha Man saying Josh Habs got bullied in the playoffs and need 5 or so more tough forwards. I see you're saying that a lot. Why mention any name of a player who isn't knowing how small the Habs nucleus? Because you can't replace top-end superstar skill like Sidney Crosby. If you want a player that produces like Crosby that's also huge, you do need size. But one other thing this Habs team needs is depth scoring. We're going to get some from our young players, but you can also add size. Who's saying that size needs to be your star? Why not add Sidney Crosby and go out and get some kind of really solid bottom 6 guy that replaces one of the bottom 6 guys we have now? Bring in someone to replace Armia, who's more physical. There's names out there. Justin Brazeau. I don't actually like him, but there's big guys out there. So that's kind of my logistics. But it's a great question, Alpha Male. RM Real Estate coming in with the super chat before I get to Dylan Larkin. Appreciate the super chat. Seriously, really, really, really do. Saying, man, I don't catch the boys live often, but thanks for the hard work. Stoked for the future. I'm down with Sid for sure. You know what? Really, really appreciate that. And for all of you that make time, to come in and watch these lives every single week, seriously, thank you so much. I know we say it, we like to say it a lot, but genuinely, it's unbelievable the support you guys show. And honestly, we could not be more appreciative. Just for you guys showing up, taking time out of your day to watch me and Jesse, it's still a surreal feeling sometimes when I see these videos get 10, 15, 20,000 views. And I'm like, dang, I just sold out the Bell Center for this video. It's crazy to put into perspective, but that's all you guys. Just take a moment. Listen, if you're watching this, don't even take it as a me thanking you. Thank yourself for being a great person and just for whatever you're doing in your life. Any small success you had today, yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, appreciate yourself for it. This didn't become a life advice thing. I'm still young. I'm not even 30 years old. But one thing I've learned to do is when I can learn to thank myself and appreciate myself for things I'm doing, including this, it makes me feel a lot better. Thank you so much. Thank these nuts. God damn it. Dylan Larkin. So there's been a bit of controversy around Dylan Larkin right now. So during his exit interview, Dylan Larkin said it would have been nice for Detroit to be more active at the deadline, quote, for a morale boost, which was a bit of an interesting thing. And so this is where all this is stemming from Dylan Larkin. Like, he was not a trade candidate, like, ever. He's the captain of the friggin' Detroit Red Wings, an original six team. Larkin's American, from Michigan. The story doesn't get any better. But there's some controversy with this and him and Stevie Y and the plans for them moving forward, because now it wasn't yesterday. I know it says yesterday. This tweet's actually a little bit old, but bear with me. Steve Yzerman kind of responded in a way to Larkin's comments. And he said he expects Detroit's best players and leaders to provide that morale boost. You know what Steve Yzerman said? He said, look at teams like Montreal. I hope I'm not misquoting this, because I feel like I completely remember this happening. He said, look at teams like St. Louis and Montreal. They were on the outside looking in at the trade deadline. And they said, we know what happened with Nick Suzuki. They said, listen, you don't want us to trade our guys? Step the F up. Basically what Kent Hughes told him. Probably in nicer words. Kent Hughes seems like a really nice guy. And so Montreal did it. Suzuki and the veterans, they stepped up, gave that morale boost. Montreal made the playoffs when no one expected them to. St. Louis, again, Jim Montgomery has been a big part of that. But again, the veterans and the coaching staff have stepped up, brought them from low in the NHL back to a playoff spot. I feel like it's deja vu again. They were ousted in 7 games by the Jets. But those two teams did it. Stevie Y said, look at those. They didn't sell off any of their assets. They didn't bring in any kind of big talent. They just went for it with the core they had, and they did it. And you guys didn't. Detroit didn't. Now, some people are interpreting this as a shot at Dylan Larkin. Some people are interpreting Larkin's thing as a shot at Yzerman. If I'm being completely honest, I don't necessarily think it's either. I think it's just more so Dylan Larkin was upset. He didn't think the team had the assets available to go for that playoff push, considering how tightly contested the Eastern Conference was this year, especially that Atlantic Division. So, with all that talk, there's talk about Dylan Larkin maybe moving. And I've seen his name thrown out for the Minnesota Wild. I've seen it thrown out for the Montreal Canadiens. I've seen it thrown out to a bunch of other teams. Larkin is 6'1", 200 pounds. Solid on the faceoff dot. Incredible two-way guy. One of the best skaters in the league. 4 straight 30-goal seasons. He's a born leader. He's the captain of the Detroit Red Wings. He's 28 years old in the midst of a big contract that I think lasts for another 6 years. I believe at around 8.7 million. I think it's 6 more years. If not, it's close to that at $8.7 million. Already outproducing that contract. Incredible production. With the cap going up, it'd be amazing. If he were to go to a team where he was the 2C, he would be the best 2C in the NHL. And I'm sure there's a lot of other good 2Cs in the NHL I'm forgetting at the moment. How can you take a 30-goal, near point per game guy? He was a point per game last year. 69 points in 68 games, 79 points in 80 the year before, 69 and 71. This guy's a point per game player, 30 to 35 goal scorer, 33 goals in 68 games last year, by the way. Face-off guy. Captain. It's incredible skater. Has just never made the playoffs. He made it in his rookie season. When he had a great rookie season, he had 1 goal in 5 playoff games, 18 PIMs, and they were ousted. Look at that drought for the Red Wings. Not used to seeing that if you grew up watching those dynasties of those Detroit Red Wings. I think Dylan Larkin, if he's ever made available, is incredibly worth your while. And I want to bring up the mock trade. Where is it? This is from Dos Poinsettia. This is also linked down below. So this is their proposed mock trade for Dylan Larkin. And before I start, I think this is way too low. I don't think Detroit even sniffs this. First of all, again, I don't necessarily think a trade is likely, but I don't think Detroit sniffs this. They say pick 16 and 17 next draft along with new hooker Dach. Note that the Red Wings already had the 13th pick and could be salivating over such a perfect offer for an aggressive reset. 16 and 17 along with the 13th pick is pretty unbelievable. And you can, like you said, kickstart your rebuild. And if you're Detroit, you can flip those assets into something else that's really nice. Detroit's a team with a lot of good young talent. Of course, Lucas Raymond, Marco Kasper is growing into his NHL talents right now. Moritz Seider. They got some really, really good players, not to mention some really good goaltending prospects in both Sebastian Cossa and Trey Augustine, 2 of the better goalie prospects in the league. Augustine was right there with Jacob Fowler in terms of best goalie in the NCAA, and Sebastian Cossa, despite starting in the ECHL after he was drafted, has climbed his way to being straight up one of the best goalies in the AHL. Detroit's in a position with a lot of young guys and a very bright future. Larkin is the captain. I think he'll probably stay, again, from Michigan. But if there's any credence to this right now, this kind of trade right here, this I would do in a heartbeat. I would not even hesitate, if I'm being completely honest. Like, you give Kirby, you give Dach and Newhook and those 2 first-round picks. I'm doing that right away. There's no way Detroit ever starts that conversation without Montreal, one of Montreal's prize prospects. We're talking maybe a Reinbacher. Michael Xhekaj, I think, is a bare minimum in terms of this trade here. We're talking Michael Xhekaj, probably 2 first-round picks. Maybe they even ask for Reinbacher, because how often do you see an $8.7 million player like Dylan Larkin available at a long-term deal in the right age range for the Montreal Canadiens? This is one of the best options in my mind if it's ever available. And the big question is availability, because again, this does just stem from some of this probably semi-fabricated controversy coming out of Detroit. But there's almost no one I would rather than Dylan Larkin. And I'm going to take a look through your chats right now. Leon Draisaitl is the best 2C in the NHL. You're right, Ethan. I feel like I just don't treat him as a 2C, because I sort of think of Edmonton as having 2 1Cs. And you're right, though. Like, objectively, you're right. I guess you're right. He'd be the second best 2C in the league. There you go. Barkin for Larkin. Yeah, I mean, there you go. Wild would not be able to bid on anything else due to Kirill. Yeah, I mean, well, the Wild have a lot of money coming off right now. Like, even with Kirill making that big jump in money, those buyouts are pretty big. And look, they got some movable contracts. Some guys like Boldy's only at $7 million a year. Faber's at 8.5. They got some good deals. Philip Gustafson's on a great contract. So, absolutely. Where are these chats here? Let's take a look here. There's a lot of stuff here. Habs got intimidated. It wasn't the gal. Oh, there's a lot of people talking about, I think, some stuff that's going on right now in the hockey world. But people say Montreal isn't trading for Crosby. Hey, Montreal's probably not trading for Crosby. Nope, I absolutely agree. They're probably not trading for Larkin because I don't think Larkin will be available. But if we're talking about this offseason in general, something big's going down. And the fact that Larkin's name is coming up over and over, the fact that Sidney Crosby's name is coming up over and over, the fact that Bo Horvat, the guy I think his name is linked the most to the Montreal Canadiens, is happening over and over. The fact that we talked about a guy like Sam Bennett as a UFA. No matter what, something huge is coming. And talking about all of these guys just gets me excited, because you can make the case for every single one of these players. You can make the case for Sidney Crosby as to why he might be out on Pittsburgh, even if it's a less than 1% chance. You can make the case for Larkin with this stuff coming up. You can make the case especially for a guy like Bo Horvat, or even Matthew Barzal, like we recently talked about. Again, Barzal is smaller. He's not that small. He's like 6'1". I feel like we talk like Barzal's tiny. He doesn't play super physical, but, you know, that is what it is. But right now, with all these names circling the market, with all of these UFAs, again, we talked about Marner today, we talked about Bennett, there's even some other guys, like a John Tavares. He's another name. Again, not super physical, wouldn't really want to take someone from the Leafs. There's a lot of teams where their situation is going to change between now and even the draft, and who knows what's going to go down. I'm just excited to see what happens. And a nice little chat here from RM Real Estate, just that some of those guys want to come here is already huge. It says a lot about the culture with the team and new management. Absolutely true. Ethan saying Matty Beniers. Beniers is another name that I think we could talk about in another video, but I think Seattle would be pretty crazy to let him go. If you guys didn't know, I feel like we get, like, Matty Beniers obviously is extremely skilled. He is legitimately, according to advanced analytics, one of the best defensive forwards in the league. And that's something I did not realize until I started paying more attention to him this year. Matty Beniers is a very good defensive player. Not to mention, he's able to put up some points. So very, very, very fun. But right now, guys, I think we're going to have to do it. There's so many other names I'd love to talk about, but we're over an hour into this thing. I want to thank you guys all for showing up. What a day. What an incredible stream. Thank you guys so much. If there's any final thoughts, leave your message now, or leave a super chat if you're not a channel member. We'll try to get to it, but I think that'll do it. Therasan, what do you think on Barzal? 2 days ago, there's a video. I recommend you go check it out. We had our thoughts on Barzal. I like him. Not that physical, but he's not that small. Point per game player. You're talking someone who could be good, but listen, that'll do it. Thank you guys for tuning in to this Jesse-less stream. It's sad not doing it with him sometimes, but I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Try to keep that energy high for you guys. Love talking about the Montreal Canadiens. And again, thank yourself today. Now, don't let me thanking you do it for you. Thank yourself. Appreciate yourself. That's a big life lesson. You know, we're all about positivity here at Habs Digest, and if you can be positive about one thing today, I'd love for you to be positive about something you did. That's a message we love to spread to all the people. That's one thing we love to do here at Habs Digest. We're not all about that negativity. Even we try to find positivity in negativity. But we got a super chat, so thank you so much. We were gonna end stream, but Jared, seriously, I really, really appreciate that $7. Would love to hear your thoughts on the Carey Price contract being shopped around, as that would free up cap space and not force us to use LTIR. Great question, Jared. My thoughts are, do it. If you get the opportunity, do it. At this point, it's one of those moves where if it happens, you're going to see reactions of like, wow, Carey Price technically went to another team, and it's going to suck. It's going to hurt to see that. But we saw it with Shea Weber. I think we should do it. And as much as it would hurt, I don't think Price would be going anywhere. We saw Webby come back around the locker room. We saw him have an effect on the players. We'll see the same thing with Carey Price. Even if he's traded to a team trying to hit the cap floor, whoever that may be, I think you'll still see him around Montreal. I don't think we'll feel him being gone. I think if you got the opportunity, go for it. Something similar to Weber. Thank you so much, Jared, for that chat. Very good. Thank you all for the support. Wow. So many thank yous to me. Again, I said, don't thank me. Thank yourself. Really appreciate this day. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. Hit that like button. We just hit 200. Could not have been a better day. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all. I've been your host, Josh Gosse. We'll catch you tomorrow night.